Hello, and welcome to another episode of Through the Monocle. Today we are talking about Rogue One and Solo, the Star Wars stories. Hi, my name is Grant Ingram, and as always, I'm your host. Joining me today, it is my fair weathered friend, my co host, Grant Skillen. How are you doing, Grant?
I am doing well. How are you?
I am I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little tired, but none the worse for wear yet. We're getting there. We're getting there. Um yeah, welcome to Last Minute
Yes.
Wednesday.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, Grant has been in the call for how long
2
have we been
minutes.
live? Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about Grant's favorite movie, Solo. Um and then his least favorite movie in Rogue One. Um
Yeah. Yeah.
Grant, this is the first time you've ever seen Solo, right?
It is the first time I have finished the movie. Yes.
What were your thoughts?
It's all right.
Was it as bad as you thought it was?
Not as bad, but it's all right.
Okay. I do definitely think Rogue One is the better of these two movies, and I think these are the best movies that Disney has produced, which I think is a really low bar, but regardless, here we are.
Yeah. It's not a high bar to pass, but Rogue One is very nice. Still has some good parts to it, but it's definitely not as good.
The interesting thing about both of these movies is they were absolute nightmares to produce. I think Solo went through like 3 or 4 directors, and Rogue One was reshooting like up to a month before it came out. Like they were both nightmares.
Yeah, Rogue One ended up very well though. If we want to use our, Rotten Tomatoes, Rogue One on Rotten Tomatoes has an 84% tomato meter, 87% audience score.
That seems low.
Yeah, I agree. That seems very low. There's definitely, I think there's a legitimate argument to be made that it's the best movie Disney made for Star Wars.
I think there's a good argument to be made that it's one of the best Star Wars
Oh yeah,
movies.
absolutely. Um, I mean, the argument for the Disney movies is either like 1,000%. It's either this or The Force Awakens.
Yeah, there is no real choice there.
Yeah.
It-
Uh, yeah, if we want to move to Solo's Rotten Tomato scores, have you looked at these by chance?
Ooh, this one's got to be low. It's like what, a 47, 48?
It's not that bad. It's a 69 nice tomato meter
Nice.
and a 63 audience score.
That really isn't that bad.
It's not. I mean, it's not great, but
It's
not as bad as I was thinking it was going to be.
Yeah. Now, if we compare that, I'm just curious because I like to be curious. If we compare that to the Phantom Menace,
Let's see.
the Phantom Menace is much maligned. The Phantom Menace is actually considered worse. It's a 51-59.
Really?
Yeah, Attack of the Clones is also worse at a 65-56.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones. Yeah, that makes sense. What is Revenge of the Sith?
Revenge of the Sith. That's got to be it's in the 90s.
No, it's a 79 tomato meter, only a 66 audience score. That surprises me.
Huh. Weird. Very weird.
Yeah.
Oh, also, for fun time's sake, because since the last time we talked, I have a little Funko Pop Dan Wilson that I got up here at a baseball game that I wanted to show off. I thought it was cool. He's been sitting on my desk, and yes, I did take him out of the box. Grant's got a gnome in the background,
Yep.
lovingly referred to by our friends as something not as nice as a gnome.
His
Um,
name is King George the Third. Thank you. Um,
yes.
yeah. So which movie you want to talk about first? You want to talk about Rogue One or Solo first?
Let's go in release order. Rogue One.
Okay. What can one say?
It is my favorite Star Wars movie, bar none. It is just the best.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I would say Revenge of the Sith is probably my favorite, but this is definitely a close second to me. Um, This is just a fantastic movie. I'm gonna show. I accidentally wore this T-shirt today, and it's gonna make an appearance later on,
How darest
and
thou?
you'll know why. It was.
I know what shirt it is too. I
Do you
haven't
know
seen
what
it, and I
shirt this
know what
is?
shirt it is. Yes.
Oh yeah, you know what shirt this is.
Um. So, Rogue One is a movie that has no business existing. Sandwiched in between Episode 3 and the very beginning of Episode 4, literally the beginning of Episode 4.
Yeah, it is quite literally the lead up into episode 4.
I think it ends 10 minutes before 4 starts. Like they dovetail fantastically.
Yes. It in one sense has absolutely no business being a movie, and yet it might be the best thing they've done for the franchise. Like,
Yeah.
because the movie's just top tier. And to have that lead up fit perfectly, you get a really good story about like we know they have these Death Star plans, but how did they get them?
It's
And now we know, and it's
it,
awesome.
I think the reason this works is it is just enough nostalgia
Mhm.
to be the thing that people liked.
Yeah.
And then it is also just enough new to be cool. Like I think that's where they went wrong with other ones. By the way, I'm hearing myself through your mic.
You're getting an echo?
Yeah,
I have no idea how that's possible.
it's better now. Anyway, so it to collect my thoughts. It is just perfect in what it set out to do. It added to the stuff we'd already seen,
Mhm.
and it didn't try to do too much. It didn't try to be better than they were or tell the same story better. It decided, hey, here's how we got to episode 4. This is the story of the Death Star plans that Leia hands to R2 in episode 4. This is what happened to those people.
Mhm.
And I think that is perfect. It didn't set anything up. Like you couldn't do a sequel.
No.
You could do a prequel. We've seen that. It's good too. But yeah,
Indeed.
I think that's why it worked out well for the franchise. Greg, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, it is just the perfect mix of nostalgia, and this was the first one, so, like, at the end of the movie, and that's what we're gonna get to with this shirt, you get Vader, and that is awesome. You get to see Vader just it at his full power, and
Yeah.
just the epic intro, epic full power Vader, and then you get to see a young Leia, and that was what I was about to say was that was one of the first CGI, if not the first CGI things they did in Star Wars. With, like,
Ah,
putting, with putting, like, a face on a person like that.
I
That
didn't realize that was actually CG.
well, yeah, that wasn't Leia. Like, they had to do
It was not Carrie
yeah, it
Fisher.
wasn't Carrie, yeah.
So they did. It was apparently CG.
Yeah.
Um, but apparently Carrie Fisher didn't know that either.
Hmm.
The obvious one was Grand Moff Tarkin.
Oh, yeah, you're right, I forgot about that one.
Tarkin looked really weird. Like it didn't look weird the first time I saw it in theaters. It looked weird when I knew that he wasn't there. Like he just
Mhm.
looks like a character out of a video game.
He does, yeah.
Which is weird because now video games look like real people.
Hey, this was only 7 years ago, like, this came out.
Yeah, and I mean it's
Which
again
is
not.
I say only 7, but now I'm thinking, "Holy cow, that was 7 years ago."
I know, right? Like it was really weird. But yeah, like the lighting just doesn't quite work. It's not
Yeah.
terrible. I'm trying to find a good picture of it to share.
While
Oh,
we're
here we
talking
go.
about pictures, I've got one to show real quick.
Okay.
Just this.
This is the thing that Disney did really well.
Yeah, and if I may now, if I can do this properly, this is my T-shirt.
Yes, Grant.
Darth Vader.
Yes. So this is what Tarkin looked like in this movie, compared to on the left what he looked like in the original trilogy. It just looks strange. It just looks strange. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's borderline uncanny valley. Um,
It's
it's
not terrible. Like, could it have been better? Absolutely, but it's not terrible.
it's not, but he looks like he popped out of a video game.
Yeah.
Like that's just all there is to it. And whether he should have been there or not, that's not up for debate. Or I mean, it's up for debate. But I think I think it was necessary to tell the story they wanted to tell, and I think they did a good job with that. Like I'm not upset that they had to use that tool. It's just
Mhm.
weird looking.
Yeah. It was also the first time they did it. Now we're a bit more familiar with them using it.
It's
Whether
better now.
Yeah, whether de-aging or CGI, we're more used to it and it's better, but I like it in a sense because it shows like they weren't afraid to do it. Even though it wasn't perfect, they knew to tell the story they wanted him there, and so that was what they could do at the time.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure they got the actors' families' permission,
Yes.
which, I mean, Tom Hanks now is talking about how he'll be in movies forever. You
Mhm.
seen that?
I have not, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so he's talking about with AI and deep faking and everything, how actors will be able to act forever. He's talking about starring in roles. He's like,
Mm,
there will be a way that I, at any age, can star in movies that are made long after I'm dead,
yeah.
and that is just fascinating to me.
It is, but then there's also the thought of, like, just the legend. So, like, you just, like, think back at, like, all that Tom Hanks has done and think, well, he's always gonna be around making movies with CGI. In a sense, in my opinion, it's almost like I don't know why this is the first thing that popped in my mind, but Kylo Ren, let the past die, kill it if you have to. Like, some things are just like, just leave some things in the past. Like, some things were good. Why would you want to keep bringing like that, like him back? Like, imagine 200 years, Tom Hanks stars in. That's gonna be like beating a dead horse using him that much.
Have you
Like,
ever seen Weekend at Bernie's?
I've not.
So Weekend at Bernie's is a movie about two college students who go to a party, and the guy that's hosting the party is dead, but they're like carrying him around and acting like he's alive, and it's hilarious. But that's essentially what that is.
Yeah.
Like, think about what it does for awards. Like, what the heck is that? Does he win Oscars for performances he died long before he could
Wins
give?
wins Oscars for CGI performances.
There is a movie though coming out. Oh, see
Like, I don't
if I
like,
can find the
but my
release
point
date.
with that is like I don't have a problem with it as a concept, but like when you like put it like when you think of that far in the future, if they're still doing that, like you want to get new faces, new talent in, and how are you going to do that if you're just going, oh, we have these legends, let's just use them instead?
Yeah. Now there's a movie coming out in 2115, November 18th of 2115, in case
Okay.
anybody's like counting down. Um, called 100 Years, and it stars John Malkovich. It was directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Hmm.
Um, I it was produced by Remy Martin to promote their liquor, one of their liquor brands. But it stars current actors. It's
Mhm.
finished. Um, Pharrell Williams made a song for it, performed it live one time, um, and they've promised that the song will be released in 2117. Like there's something to be said for that, which is obviously a marketing ploy, but I mean
Yeah,
still.
it's a really long-term marketing ploy, but
I mean it's fascinating.
yeah, but it's also
But
like
well,
at
I
what
mean,
point is it like what was I gonna say? I had a thought I was gonna say about my other point, and then it's just gone. Like that thought's not there anymore. Um,
it's one thing if the actor's in it and it releases well after they're
yeah,
dead. It's another if you're making it up. Now that's a complete aside, but it is fascinating where tech has taken us and
yeah.
how far everything's going.
Yeah, but if we can
Um,
go back to Rogue One, I mean, there's not a ton to cover with it, really. Like, it's the story of leading in the four. It's the story of Galen Erso revealing hey, I put a flaw in the plans of the Death Star. Then you get Jin and Andor going to get them.
it fixes the Star Wars thing my dad had always pointed out to me as a kid. How
Oh,
the heck did they leave a hole in the Death Star?
yeah,
Like you're building this weapon and you just left like a freaking hole in it. You're in space.
yeah.
That's your answer. And that, to me, like I've been saying this whole month, Star Wars problems are fixed with more Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think it did a really good job. It's not a movie I would have ever seen anybody asking for, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
that works.
I mean, maybe like, oh, I wonder. I'm sure there's been like, oh, I wonder if we'll ever figure out how they got the plans to the Death Star. But I don't know if anyone would have expected it to be this good of a movie.
Right. It is to episode 4 what the Clone Wars was to episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
It fills in a lot of the gaps. I would love to see more of Jyn Erso. From what I've seen, the actress would love to come back and play more Jyn Erso.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I don't
I,
know, but I don't know what stories you tell with her though.
she survived. Her hatred kept her
The dark
alive.
side of the Force.
Yeah, no.
Hold on.
Spoilers for
This has to happen.
it
I'm
does.
sorry.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be
unnatural.
Sorry, it had to happen.
It did. So spoiler alert for any of you who haven't actually seen the movie. It is 7 years old. Everybody dies.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
Everybody.
It has some fantastic performances from Forrest Whitaker as Saul Guerrera is one that comes to mind. He's like really freaking good. I also really like Donnie Yen in this one. He played the blind, not Jedi.
I am one with the Force. The Force is with me. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me.
And he was so good in that role. No, see, I recently saw, I saw John Wick 4 in theaters. And in John Wick 4, he plays another blind dude. So I put out the Google today. I'm like, is Donnie Yen really blind? Because like the two biggest Western roles he's been in are blind dudes. Like awesome blind dudes. But I just really like his character in this.
Yeah.
The reason I think this is the perfect Star Wars movie, the reason it's my favorite, is the freaking Jedi are nowhere to be found. It's just Donnie Yen. And I think Donnie Yen's character is the perfect way to go with the Force. Because otherwise you have to explain how the heck the Jedi were just sitting there like, guys, anything going on? Nah. And all of a sudden, Palpatine has killed his master.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Bruh.
Sorry, that's where you're going with it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, yes, but when the order is at its height, he's killed his master, gone through like 6 different apprentices. Bit of an exaggeration, but at least 2. And like, then we get the Death Star, and like
3.
not one person.
Maul, Dooku, Vader.
Yeah, think about Maul.
I thought you would have forgotten Dooku, not Maul.
No, I was thinking of Dooku. I didn't. Well, but see, Maul never really felt like an apprentice.
He kind of was though.
Speaking of Darth Maul,
yes,
Solo.
Yes. Yes.
Grant, you saw this movie for the first time today, and I want your thoughts.
I specifically requested it.
So the thought I had watching the whole movie was in watching. So I watched Rogue One first, and then I watched Solo.
Right.
My thought during Solo was, it's a fine movie, but why? Did we really like the plans for the Death Star? That's absolutely something that like everyone wanted to know. But with Solo, why?
I wouldn't argue that the plans for the Death Star was something everyone wanted to know.
Maybe
I
not
would
everyone,
argue
but-
it added to the mythos.
Mhm.
I don't think that Solo does.
No, it's a fine movie. Like I would give it a pass. Ish. Like it's. I would say it's close to that line of maybe not a pass because partially just because like why? Like it's cool to see at the end the game where he wins the Millennium Falcon, and you get where they almost set it up earlier where you think he's going to win there, but he doesn't. But just like why? Like what do we learn from this? We get the like what that we had do we learn? We see the game of whatever game it's called where he wins the wins the Millennium Falcon. We see Han and Lando, and then Maul shows up, but we know Maul's alive already because of Rebels.
Yeah. Though at this point, was that around?
Yes, I'm fairly certain.
But no, yeah, he came back in Clone Wars, not Rebels.
Yeah,
Clone Wars.
even yeah. I was just thinking of his death in Rebels.
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, it was cool to see him back, and it was cool for someone like me who had never really gotten into the animated stuff to see him back. And honestly, I liked the movie. I really did, but it was it's just not a necessary movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, my view on it would be like if you're gonna make this movie, I'll give you that. Like there are worse things you could go. Okay, let's go look back at Star Wars and see what we could make a story about. Oh, we could make a story about Han. That's something we could do. But if you're gonna do that, you've got to make it like excellent. Like you've got to make it worth it.
yeah,
And taking just my personal view out of it aside, it was what a 69 Rotten Tomatoes, 63 audience.
yeah, it's fine. It is a perfectly fine movie.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't add a thing.
Yeah,
There's
yeah. And you don't even get like a cool Darth Vader scene. Like Rogue One would have been worth it if the movie was garbage and we got the Darth Vader scene.
you get a cool Solo, and Han Solo is my favorite character from the original trilogy. I think he's
Han's a
most
great
people.
character. Yeah.
He's good enough. In this, I think that Alden Ehrenreich, Arjun. I think he did a fantastic job as Han. I do. I would have preferred to see a de-aged.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, imagine they make the movie today. Like today, they announced we're gonna make a Han backstory movie. I think I would rather have a de-aged Han. Nothing against the actor. I think he did a fine job. Just like I think Donald Glover did a fine job.
I'd rather have Donald Glover.
Donald Glover was pretty cool, yeah.
I had much. They're talking about doing a Lando show. I want Donald Glover back. I do not want to see Billy D. You can have Billy D narrate it. Billy D's old.
Yeah, he is.
And unlike Harrison Ford, I don't think they have the footage to de-age him. Donald Glover was a better Lando.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And again, I think against Billy D.
I also just like Donald Glover, but like, yeah,
he did a good job, but and the guy who played Han did a fine job too. But Han is just one of those characters that's so iconic. It's like what they're doing with Luke now. I think I would prefer if they had de-aged Han, although it might be harder to do that in a movie scale versus the limited times we've seen Luke and Mandalorian.
It's expensive, but
Yeah.
it's a Star Wars movie. I don't think it's that big of a deal. They're doing it for this new one, especially with the tech Lucasfilm's using. I'm not sure if you know about that. This new Indiana Jones.
I do not.
So the footage they're using to de-age Harrison Ford isn't actually like touched up footage. It's old stock footage from back in the day that they had like cut scenes, everything he's ever shot, cut or not. And then they go through and they have artificial intelligence like find the frames and put it all together. It's like really awesome.
That's very interesting.
Like it is digitally touched up, but the footage itself was there when he was that age.
That's interesting. That's another thing that could be very cool to use.
I think he would be fine as a Han Solo. And if we see Lando, I want Harrison Ford de-aged. And I want freaking Donald Glover.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you were for a second. I thought you were saying that Harrison Ford was Lando.
No, but like if he's in it,
got it.
I want that.
Yeah, I got it.
I just don't see it with Billy D because Billy D wasn't in as much, right? Like he wasn't,
but he still was Lando. I feel like if you're gonna de-age Han, then you have to de-age Billy. I don't know if you can, because if you only do one, then that's a huge slide at the actor to go, oh well, we don't think we don't want you to be de-aged, but we want Harrison to be de-aged.
Bring Billy D back to narrate it. Like, have his Lando telling the story and just don't de-age it.
Has
Billy
has
D
Billy
is
said anything about Donald Glover?
he met with Glover for Solo and like gave him notes on how to play the character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if they ask him, then like that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an article from 2019 that he loved Donald Glover in Solo, but questioned the hair.
Yeah, the hair was always kind of interesting. I really like his. I mean, I like original Lando. I like Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams was going to be Two-Face in Batman Forever, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then they recast him for Tommy Lee Jones, which was a lot less cool.
Right.
But we'll talk about those movies eventually. I had rather have Billy D in most situations. I liked Billy D fine in Rise of Skywalker. I don't know why he was there, but he was good.
It like we talked about, like, I think it's cool they brought him back for that. Like, that's some fan service, really, but like it's cool to see him back. Like,
Yeah, who doesn't like Billy D?
Bringing back Palpatine, bringing back Lando. I mean, you got the whole band back together. Really, next Vader's got to come back.
No, it's like bringing back Palpatine and bringing back like an ancillary hero. Like Lando was in like 15 minutes of one movie.
We got to bring back Shaak Ti so she can die again. Have you seen that? How she has like 5 different
like
canon
6
deaths.
canonical deaths. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I personally, what I want is I want a sequel trilogy where they bring back Luke and then they like bring back Darth Maul, which should have been the sequel trilogy.
They should have brought back Maul. It's really a shame he never came back after Episode 1.
Yeah. My point being that if you bring in a side character and the main hero, it works just as well as it's Lando back.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know how much more we really have to talk about these movies. Like, Rogue One's really good. Solo's fine. Was Solo necessary?
And that's what hurt Solo. Had Solo been a movie that people wanted, or had it done anything to tell anything that was cool about Han Solo, and not just destroy the cool thing about Han, which was that we had no idea what his background was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even think Jabba was in this, was he?
I don't think so.
Because I'm sure I would have remembered that. But, like, it also begged for a sequel. Like, it needed a sequel to work.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't get one. So,
yeah.
It's just a fine enough movie. And it made fine enough money.
Yeah.
Except it lost a ton of money.
Yeah.
It lost like $100 million. A Star Wars movie lost $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One was this guy for writing for Rolling Stones said somehow Han Solo, the roguish Star Wars hellion famous for breaking all the rules, finds himself in a feel-good movie that doesn't break any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Aaron Rick is confirmed to have like signed up for 3 movies. And he wants them to all be like separate movies. Ron Howard wants to make a sequel. Everybody like seems to want another one, and I don't have a problem with another one.
Yeah.
Oh. So in December of 2020, they announced Lando.
Mm-hmm.
Last May, a year ago, Kathleen Kennedy said the series was still in development and that they were having discussions with Donald Glover.
Okay.
And also they aren't making a sequel to Solo. So maybe they use Aaron Rick at his future movies as appearances in the show or whatever.
Potentially. I have an idea to switch to almost like the future of these types of movies because we've got some more that have been announced.
Yeah, I would love to
Um,
talk about that.
So Dave Filoni, it was announced recently the name of his movie and what it's going to be about specifically. Did you see that?
I did not.
The name of his movie is Heir to the Empire. So essentially, what it seems like it's going to be is it's going to be a movie, potentially a trilogy based around Thrawn, with the like cast from Ahsoka and Rebels replacing the original trilogy characters in that movie. Or in those movies. So replacing like Luke and whoever else. I don't know the comics much of the history of Thrawn, but it sounds like replacing some of them with Ahsoka and Sabine and some of the other characters from like the Ahsoka show and from Rebels.
I tell you who won't be there. Kanan.
Who?
Have you seen that?
No.
So Freddie Prinze Jr., who played Fred in the Scooby-Doo, was the voice of Kanan. And he says that he's not coming back because nobody gets laid in Star Wars. I'm not kidding. That is the quote. And I think that is fantastic for Freddie Prinze Jr. Of course, most of the Rebels actors didn't carry over.
Yeah, or it's a rumor. The rumor is his film is going to be titled Heir to the Empire. I guess it's not been announced.
I wouldn't imagine it's a trilogy either.
But,
I think it's a one movie deal.
Let me see.
I would also love to see I'd love to see a Kylo Ren movie. Like, just give me one before all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind if Star Wars writes themselves out of a hole. Like, if they finally make movies going forward that don't have an ending, would be great.
Did you see who's playing Thrawn in Ahsoka?
Is it Lars Mikkelsen?
Lars, yes. That'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
The Mickelsons, man. The
So,
Mickelsons.
do you mind if I spoil The Mandalorian a bit for you? Okay.
Go.
Can you hear me?
No.
So, for the one person's in here right now, in The Mandalorian, we get to see what is called the Shadow Council of former Imperials, which includes a guy named Admiral Pelion, who was one of Thrawn's main allies and heir to the Empire, and Thrawn gets name dropped. I don't know if you can hear me or not,
I
but
can't. I'm just completely messing with you.
okay. Yeah, so
Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, by the way.
okay. So yeah, so the heir to the Empire is not canon anymore, which means Filoni can do what he wants with it, but it'll be very interesting to see. All right, so Grant, what I just said was
From the top row.
yeah.
It's Grogu.
But what I mentioned from The Mandalorian will be very interesting to see how they build off of that. But
I'm happy that we're getting that.
Mhm.
Like, that's a cool thing to me.
yeah, this isn't a spoiler, but like the heir to the Empire old comics and novels are all not canon anymore.
That's true.
They got banned. So Dave Filoni can do what he wants with it. But it seems like if that's what it is, we're going to get more of like he's building off of the stories in Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, stuff like that. So that'll be very interesting to see. So does that mean if he does it, does that mean Thrawn doesn't die in Ahsoka?
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Why would Thrawn die in Ahsoka?
You got to kill him off some point.
No, you don't.
You do. Actually, no, they're going to milk him. Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah. No, why would you kill him? See, this is the thing. Star Wars for decades at this point has failed to build into a sequel. Like, since the original trilogy, we have yet to get movies that build into a sequel or TV shows that build into a sequel. The best we get is a prequel, right? So, like,
I mean, we get Mandalorian. Mandalorian's building into its own sequels.
That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It is building into its own thing.
Yes.
It is
and do you know why?
Because Dave Filoni said yeehaw.
Yes. Dave Filoni is the man He is him. His pronouns are him, him. Dave Filoni is him.
Yeah, no, it just makes sense. Like that's the thing. Even with the original three, obviously they built to their own end.
Mhm.
Then you have the prequels, which sort of built, I guess, if you like the story's there, but they're just kind of sucky movies. And then after that, you get the sequels, which built into the originals, like literally work their way forward into
Mhm.
going backwards.
Yeah.
Then you get these two movies, which work their way forward into 4.
One better than the other.
Right. And then now we're finally getting a set of things that isn't woven in between other things.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
what I love what they're doing with the Mandalorian because of that. That so far, I mean, you can tell they're building towards like cloning for how Palpatine returned. But outside of that, like what happens to Mando and Grogu? Like heck, Gideon, I think is even a new character.
he's real.
Gideon's never gonna die at this point.
Probably not.
Gideon is the man, the myth, the legend, Palpatine himself. But
Probably.
so many of the characters that we're getting, we don't know where they're going to go. Like, we don't know exactly what's going to happen in the Ahsoka show. We don't know what's going to happen in the next season of Mandalorian, and that's great.
And that's what made Rogue One work. To tie it all in, that's what made Rogue One work.
Mhm. It shows it can work. I would say
Yeah.
episode 3 also shows it can work because you get some tie-in to 4 even there.
Yeah, but you knew where those characters were going.
Yeah, and that's why Rogue One worked because they like excellently fit it in and made it get there.
But the thing that is interesting about Rogue One is it feeds into 4, but you have no idea what happens to those characters.
Yeah.
Until they die.
Mm-hmm. Every single one of them.
You can kill off all of those characters. There are actual stakes in a Star Wars movie, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we kind of know they're going to die because we don't see them in episode 4.
Well, I mean, Ahsoka survived.
Well, I'm talking about in Rogue One.
No, what I'm saying is Ahsoka survived and we don't see her in episode 4 or 5 or 6 or 7.
I was talking about with Rogue One specifically, like the fact you see Andor and you see Jen start getting involved with the rebellion, and then you don't see them before. You go, well, we know where this is going.
See, I never expected them to die when I was watching it. Now, maybe you just have the malice of foresight. Maybe you think like a villain. You villain.
Oh, that's a lot of damage!
You want to see what was a lot of damage?
What?
This.
That was a lot of damage. You know what else was a lot of damage? I deserve that. Yeah, I really am excited to see where Star Wars goes next. I'm looking forward to Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte and everything else they've got coming down the pipe. Like,
yeah,
they've got a chance to do something truly special with it. I hope they do.
They do, yeah.
Anyway,
it's exciting.
It is very. Speaking of exciting, if you would like to support the show and keep the lights on, or, well, in my case, keep the microphone plugged in, you can do that by going to patreon.com/theculturednerd. There you will find tiers for all of the separate Cultured Nerd shows where you can support any one of them, and the money is greatly appreciated. Or you can just, decide to be an awesome human and support the network in general, and that money is also greatly appreciated. So, long story short, go to patreon.com/theculturednerd and find a way to throw your money at the screen. As always, I have been your host, Grant Ingram.
And I've been your co-host, Grant Skillen. Thank you to each of the Patreon supporters supporting the network. Thank you to Jose for the logo and Taylor for the intro.
I would like to thank absolutely nobody. No,
yes, I'd like to apologize. Absolutely nobody.
Nah, but seriously, thank you for joining us. If you joined us live, we greatly appreciate it. If you watched the recorded version of this monstrosity, we greatly appreciate it. Also means you must like us, so go check out our other show, Much Talk About Nothing. You can see that little QR code there on the right. It's pretty dope. And then you can check out the rest of the network here on the left in that QR code. And if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell us you hate us, tell us you love us, tell Grant his beard looks weird. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And next month, we are going to be talking about the Disney remakes. See you then.